So tell me who you are and where you're from.
My name is Chris Kimura. I'm from San Diego, California. In 1994, I was diagnosed with a rare disease called Castleman's disease. There's two types of Castleman's disease. They're unicentric and multicentric, and I was diagnosed with multicentric Castleman's disease, which is the rarest kind. In 1994, there wasn't too much research done about my disease, which was very scary because I had to be my own best advocate at that point. From all the research that I've done, the prognosis after diagnosis, I was told this was 3 to 5 years lifespan, which was really scary.
How did you find out that you had it?
Well, I had an inflamed lymph node, and I had a friend who was a doctor, and he goes, "Chris, I'd get those lymph nodes biopsied right away." So a couple days later, well, actually, I had fevers, night sweats and chills, and then inflamed lymph nodes, and saw the doctor. He goes, "Get those biopsied." I had them biopsied by UCSD, an oncologist at UCSD down in San Diego. And miraculously, he came back with a Castleman's diagnosis, which, from what I've heard, it's a very hard diagnosis to diagnose, or disease to diagnose. So that's how I found out I had Castleman's disease. And my disease was pretty much asymptomatic from 94 till 97. And then in 97, my Castleman's disease became more aggressive, and I had to really, really research more and be my own best advocate of my disease.
So when you first looked it up and you saw the prognosis there, what were you thinking?
I was very scared. I had a second opinion up at UCLA, and I saw a UCL oncologist, and his bedside manner wasn't very good. He said, "Well, I hate Castleman's patients worse than cancer patients." And when you're 28 years old and you hear something like that, it kind of catches you off guard, and you think about your mortality. And at 28, you shouldn't be thinking about your mortality at 28.
Yeah. So then, how long has it been then since you?
Well, it's been 20 years now. With I've been on a multitude of chemo regimens, and since I've been on a multitude because of the reason that after a while, each one of these chemo regimens would lose its efficacy. So then my symptoms would return, and my lifestyle would revert back to the bad quality of life I once had once the efficacy wore off on those chemo drugs. And then in 2009, I got a compassionate use IND for a new drug made by Roche Chogai, tocilizumab, and I had a second opinion, actually a third opinion by Dr. Van Ree out in Arkansas at UAMS, and I was already getting the tocilizumab, but he actually added some other drug protocols to my treatment plan, and it's been a lifesaver.
Wow. So when were you first able to find other patients like you?
In 94 when I was first diagnosed, I did a little bit of research, and I found a Castleman's network that had a few other patients, but not too many people were posting things at all. And basically I got all my information from friends who are in the biotech industry, since San Diego's a big biotech town, or family research that my dad, my mom, my wife, my brother did some research, but my oncologist, I was the only Castleman's patients my oncologist had.
Yeah. So then, how did you get introduced to care in the CDCN?
Well, I saw Dr. Van Ree, and then I got introduced to care. I somehow, I think I was doing some research on the CDCN, and I found that they're having a Castleman's Summit up here in San Francisco, and that's how I was introduced to the care and what David and Greg are doing, and I just find that what they're doing is going to be so helpful for the many patients out there suffering from Castleman's disease, and with the research that needs to be done, it's a small monetary amount for the amount of lives it'll help. So.
And what's it been like being here, being around all the other patients, and hearing their stories?
Hearing their stories, it gives me a bonding with people who have my disease, who people, I can relate to them and they can relate to me. It gives me tears of happiness and some sadness as well from some of the stories that I've heard, but it's great to have this forum to meet other patients and to get more involved and let everybody become more aware of this disease, Castleman's disease, which not too much research has been done on it. And I think from what I've heard tonight is that, you know, a little amount of money can go a long way in researching this disease to help the better of all.
Where do you see CARE and CDCN going forward, and what impact they can have?
Well, I see them going forward in a big way by, you know, the CDC with their patient registry, you know, and their doctor registry, and get doctors involved. When everybody can collaborate into one unit, I think it helps everybody else in a huge way of moving forward and finding a cure for the disease, or maybe not find a cure, but helping people's longevity in life longer.
Anything you want to say to people out there that are maybe diagnosed with Castleman for the first time?
I would say to have hope and inspiration, and always think positively. You know, there's many new drugs that are being invented every day, and with CARE and the CDC, I think that you're in good hands. I think that anybody who's diagnosed with Castleman, it's not a death sentence, and just always have a positive attitude, and just think that there's always somebody out there less fortunate than you are, and just do the best you can, and have a positive attitude, I think, is the #1 key.
Great. Thanks so much, Chris.
All right, Grant, thank you.